It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. Yes, I am in the driver's seat, the anchor seat tonight here on Smak Talk on Sportskeeda by Wrestle Binge, Sportskeeda Wrestle Binge, aka. And I am joined by the legendary manager, wrestler, mind himself, and the greatest mustache in the world, Dutch Mantell. Dutch Mantell, how are you, and when are you going to light that cigar?
So that's a double question to start off. Well, I am fine. I really am. Watch the show, like the show, and am I ever going to light the cigar? If there comes a time when I'm very, very happy and I'm ready to celebrate, I will light the cigar. But so you sat all day long and thought about asking me that question, because this past week I bet I have been asked about this cigar at least 20 times by email.
Wow. People actually use your email when you plug it?
Oh yeah. They loaded up Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com. Write me and I'll get right back to you. Also, if you want one of my books, which are right back here. I don't know if you can see them or not. But
here, we'll give you the full screen.
Oh, there it is.
Look at that.
Right here. Tales from a Dirt Road and The World According to Dutch. Write me and I'll sign it for you and get it right back to you. But this week, I've sold quite a few books in the last couple of weeks. See, anytime you're selling something, you'll have hot periods. Some weeks that go by, I won't do much. Then all of a sudden I get hit and I do 20 books. And you can get them also on Amazon too, but they're not signed. So if you want one, highly recommend it.
There's probably a few fans that would have loved you to continue the one-man show, one-man SmackDown review. How would you do as a one-man SmackDown review?
Oh, I would I'd have to have a bunch of notes in front of me to keep me online. I could do it, but it probably wouldn't be an hour. It'd probably be like, I don't know, 45 minutes. Or what I would like to do, I'm going to suggest this. We do a live show like this one, and we actually take fan calls. And if fans piss us off, we can just cuss them out and hang up.
I'm down for that.
And then block them.
Well, they can do that. They can do that today here with some super chat donations. Feel free.
We need
back to what we do here, and then me and Dutch can ask for a raise from Sportskeeda.
Oh yeah. Okay. On these chat donations, where do they go?
I suspect it goes to Sportskeeda, the powers that be at Sportskeeda Towers.
Yeah,
and we never see any of it for some reason. I don't know. I don't know.
We might have to check. Okay, next time we have a union meeting, we have to bring that up.
There we go. But yes, we're here.
I want some answers. Go ahead.
We're here to review WWE SmackDown from October 20th, 2023. And like you said, you enjoyed the episode, and this was a building block episode as they're building to Crown Jewel, and they did a lot of things for that. So we're going to start off with, of course, the Bloodline stuff. So leave your comments in the live chat. If we see any good comments, we'll try to highlight them. But of course, you can, send a super chat donation, and it will make sure that we highlight your comment and you see it on screen, and you can hear Dutch Mantell's thoughts on your comment. You can do that with a super chat donation. But also remember, drop the thumbs up on this video. If you're watching us on Facebook, you could drop a thumbs up, a heart, a like, a laugh emoji. I already see folks using those. Feel free to put all those likes, and you can also sound off in the live chat as well. But let's get into WWE SmackDown from tonight. And the show kicked off where we always love to kick off, Dutch, with the Bloodline, as the wise man Paul Heyman was center ring for an opening segment, and he wanted to talk about, he recalled what Jimmy Uso did on Monday Night Raw, saying that Jimmy single-handedly cost Jey Uso, and most importantly, Cody Rhodes the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. And Heyman then noted how the Los Angeles Times broke the story earlier in the day that Roman Reigns will face LA Knight at Crown Jewel for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, and how it was the most read article on the LA Times today. Heyman says that he's just like everyone there, outside of the fact that he dresses better and makes more money than everyone else there. Heyman says that what they have in common is that they all are fans of LA Knight. You get the yeah thing, and Heyman says,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
He says LA Knight, he throws a fit. He tells the crowd not to do that when he's talking. Heyman says Crown Jewel will be the last time everyone will see Knight inside a ring. And Heyman said Knight will get smashed at Crown Jewel by Reigns. And this brought out LA Knight. The crowd explodes for him coming out. And we get a LA Knight, Paul Heyman promo here as LA Knight intimidates Paul Heyman. He says all Heyman has to do is he's out here making a whole lot of damn noise. And he says Heyman can take a walk because he needed Reigns' ass out here. He sees that Reigns isn't coming out. Heyman goes to try to leave, and he
Uh,
hey, where are you going? He was like, you
yeah.
told me to leave.
Yeah. That was a good interview. I finally liked it when Paul Heyman, he was saying, yeah, and he almost got it right. And he said, you're pathetic, get out of here or whatever. That was a good interview. It did what it was set out to do. Heyman was the star of it, and bringing LA Knight helped it. So I think that's one of the better interviews of the year, I think. I really enjoyed that one. And no need for any kind of a physical altercation or anything. It did what it's supposed to do, and they got out. I really liked tonight's show. So all of it.
Yeah, I wasn't that high on that. I didn't think it was one of the best of the year, but I thought LA Knight,
Oh, I do.
his connection with the fans is just undeniable, and it really
It
drives
is.
these segments. And he was able to and you could tell that some of it is kind of like ad lib. He's just going with the flow of it, how the segment goes, however he feels in the moment. That's what he's gonna say. So I love that about him, and I loved how Paul Heyman played off him. So it was definitely a good segment to open the show. And LA Knight does note that next week there will be a contract signing, and he tells Heyman that he better make sure that when he talks to Reigns, he better tell Reigns whose game is it, and of course it is LA Knight's game. And he throws the mic in Heyman's chest. So a good way to kick off the show, and we would get more of the bloodline throughout the show sprinkled in here, Dutch Mantell, as later on we would see a backstage segment where Paul Heyman was in the bloodline locker room, and in came Jimmy Uso. You had Solo Sikoa standing behind Paul Heyman, looking intimidating, and Jimmy Uso comes in and he says he was the starting quarterback at Raw, even though Reigns called the play. He said he celebrates. He said, yeah, I was in there. I was the starting coach. I was like blue 32, and then I threw it, and he's like, touchdown, bloodline. And he's celebrating, and the camera then cuts to John Cena showing up, and he's walking backstage, and this brings out John Cena, and he talks about the fact that he talked about Reigns' streak last week, 1,130 something days as champion, but he has a streak of his own. He's gone 2,002 days, Dutch Mantell, since he won a televised singles match. Did you ever go that long between televised singles wins?
Oh, I probably did. I used to get beat all the time. They stomped the shit out of me. Is that true? 2,000 days. You believe that's true? How long has he been away from WWE?
Well, he said his last singles win was 2018, so that's more than 5 years. So yeah, it adds up.
Well, 5 years times 365, that's only like 1,750. Where the other 250 days come? I don't know. I'm saying it's a long time. It is. But what I've noticed about WWE, all of a sudden they're in this record. They're in the records department. 2,000 days or 1,151 days. And when did they start that? Like a year ago? Making the records count?
Pretty much like a year ago when they started focusing on it very much like this.
And then, of course, now we go on a crusade of the past. It looks like John was going to really get choked up there and get really sentimental.
He talked about retirement on the same week that Sting did his whole retirement. He
Oh
announced that
yeah.
he's retiring at Revolution. I knew that was a whole bunch of baloney. That it's John Cena. He's not going to give up. He's not going to give up. He believes in himself. He says, and he calls out anyone to face him.
And he believes he believes in the people.
Yes, he believes in them.
Good
He
interview.
believes in himself.
Good interview. So, but what was he talking about? He started retirement. What was the gist of that interview?
Well, he talked about retirement and he said it's time to face the facts. Cena reiterated that it's been a long time since he's had a win. The fans start chanting, "You still got it." So he says, "Damn it, I believe in me. I believe in you. I believe in us." He believes in the beauty that all this madness, and he could still go. And the time is now to turn the tide around. And he says it's going to be a bad night for the next idiot to walk through that curtain, and whoever it is, they will get smoked. And naturally, that brings out Solo Sikoa. He comes down, he stares off with John Cena. They start brawling with one another. This brings out Jimmy Uso, who hits John Cena with a super kick. They start 2-on-1 beatdown until a hooded figure.
Did you look at that super kick pretty close?
Oh, he did not touch him at all.
Nope. It was like six inches away.
Yeah, it was like he missed, but he just acted like
they just kept going with it. But when they played it back, they took that out.
Yeah.
I mean that they were right on that. I stopped it and backed it up. I went, maybe it was air off that kick that got it.
It was the air. Got it. The air.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Hey, we're in wrestling. We just go ahead with it. People don't give a crap.
A hooded figure shows up out of the crowd. He pulls Jimmy Uso out of the ring. And of course, he pulls off his mask, and it is Jey Uso getting revenge.
Who would have thunk it?
I mean, it's like a no-brainer, but it got a good pop. That's all that really matters.
It did.
Got a good pop when he takes off the mask. He starts throwing around Jimmy until security gets in the way and breaks up the two brothers in the ring. Solo goes for the Samoan spike. Cena ducks. He hits the attitude adjustment. He poses to end the segment. So this was probably the highlight of the night for me. I thought this was the best segment of the show overall.
Again, they got to the point. They hit a high point and then they're gone. That's the way they used to do it. See, now, before they was trying to put a bunch of other stuff in it, this. It didn't need it. Hit your high point and go. And they did. So, and you can attribute that to directly to Triple H. He says, we're not going to get it no higher. No need to drag it out. Let's go. And they did. And that was a good segment, too. So now we're hitting on about 100, 2 segments in. We only got about 5 more to go.
Well, I skipped some stuff, so
okay.
I wanted to put all the Bloodline stuff in one here, but what do you think about LA Knight getting the opportunity at Crown Jewel, and what would you say his chances are of winning this matchup? But most of all, what do you think that he's going to get out of this matchup if he doesn't walk away with the win?
Well, first of all, he's still in getting over phase is what he's doing. So remember, and we used to talk about this, they would bring him out there with the maximum. Hey, anybody who can survive maximum male models has staying power, because they wanted to get rid of him then too. You remember reading anything about that? He was on the block, and I forgot what happened, but they stayed with him. And stayed with him. Then they noticed the crowd was liking him a little bit. And they said, hey, not so fast. Because they was reading that temperature in the room. Then they started going with him a little bit, and he got over more. His merchandise sales picked up a little bit more. Hey, this guy's got something. Let's go with him. Or let's don't get rid of him. Let's see what we can do with him. And it just got bigger and better for him, and they decide, okay, let's give him a little push and see where we can go. Now he has a main event in Saudi Arabia. And do I think they'll put the belt on it? No, I do not. But I do believe that even losing, he still wins one way or the other because he's in there with a champion, has a title shot at a pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia. So that raises his name recognition and also raises his status inside the company and in the fans' eyes. So I think this is a win-win situation for LA Knight, for a guy to come from where he came from to where he is now. And how long ago was the Maximum Male Models? 9 months, maybe?
No, it was over a year ago.
Okay.
He starts the Bray Wyatt program around this time last year. Like after
he survived. He survived that. He survived Bray's angle, and it did nothing for him.
No, I think that's when he broke out. He got that opportunity and he knocked it out the park.
Well, I think he was already moving, but I'm saying the angle.
Not before the Bray Wyatt was the thing that people started to be like, okay, he was stealing all those segments with his talking.
Well, he was.
That's how he got over. That was the thing that got him over. And before that, he just turned to LA Knight and then he was beating up the Maximum Male Models. That didn't do anything for him. It was
I didn't. And I don't think
Bray Wyatt feud.
Bray Wyatt got him over by my favorite word, osmosis. Even though we lost, he advanced. So, and he took it from there. But I think it was finally, I think the creative looked at LA Knight and said, we got something here and let's take advantage of it. And it's going to benefit all of them. So it's a good thing I called them up and told them to do that, right? They said, who is this? I said, it's Dutch. Answers the goddamn phone. Okay, it's Dutch. I said, hey, if you guys are smart, you get behind LA Knight. Great talker, and he does have a vibe. You can feel it. And they started feeling what the people felt, and they're going with him now. And I'm glad they are. Everybody benefits from this.
Agreed there. Next up, you had a backstage segment very quickly with the Street Profits were shown backstage talking to Bobby Lashley. Santos Escobar then makes his entrance as we had Santos Escobar versus Montez Ford. This gets 9 minutes. It was a solid enough matchup, but I just felt like the finish was just lazy. It was a lazy finish as you had on the outside Angelo Dawkins basically beating up everybody from the LWO. He throws Santos Escobar into the ring post.
Who poured him into that coat? He looks like he was just poured into it, and it was tight as hell. But anyway,
he tried to button it. That was the problem. He should have just kept it open, my brother. Kept it open. Don't button that. But he threw another guy into a barricade, threw the other into the steel steps. Then Santos hits him with the running knee, and he gets into the ring into a roll up by Montez Ford for the loss here. Street Profits jump Santos after the matchup until Carlito comes down to make the save with the steel chair. It just feels like the LWO has already run its course. I hate to say it, but it just feels like they just lose every single week.
Well, they were kind of getting a little warmed up. I think there's too many hanger-ons around the LWO that they don't really do anything with. So, but at least they're there, and let's see where they go with it. You know, I wouldn't give up on them yet because I think there's still potential within that group. I do think there's too many of them. Now, Ray's kind of out of it. Yes. He's still associated with it, but
he's the leader.
He is, but he's got this other thing going on, so all the attention is going to go to that. But sometimes these groups they just got to survive through it. As long as creative doesn't necessarily just kill them off completely, they still got life in them.
I just think that the creative just doesn't have any plans for them or doesn't have use for them, that they're just a babyface squad that's relatively over because Rey Mysterio is the leader, but it's a group that's here to take losses. That's what it feels like at this point. But
Well,
I'm always open for them to turn it around.
Well, sometimes that's the way it goes, and you have to survive that, and then come out on the other side. And we've seen it time and time and time again. We were just talking about LA Knight. Looked like he was done, and all of a sudden turns it around. But he had something to turn it around on. I don't know what's the selling point. I don't know what the selling point on LWO is actually going to be.
The selling point for them is Santos turning on Ray. That's the only selling point for it anymore. That's the only. I think that's the only. They're just spinning their wheels until we get to that point. At this point now.
But what's that going to do? I mean, I'm agreeing with you, but what's that do really? I don't think that helps. It's just a match.
It's going to help Santos too much. I think they can have great matches, but I don't think it's going to get him over in the same fashion that Dom turning on Ray did.
Mm-hmm. But well, we may have to go up there and talk to them.
Hey, we come up with good plans for.
Listen, yeah, I'll fly to New York, pick me up. We're going to Stanford, and we'll just walk in there and then throw our notebooks down and say, "Hey guys, we got to talk."
I got plans.
Then Triple H walks in. We tell him to shut his mouth and sit down too. And we'll book this company for the next 6 months. Okay, what was next?
Next up, we see the LWO backstage. They're shown talking. They were interrupted by Rey Mysterio and Zelina Vega. Mysterio said he was going to take care of some business of his own. Vega asked Rey if he wanted the rest of them to have his bag, but Mysterio said thanks, but no thanks. He'd rather go it alone on this night. And this led into later on in the show, we get Logan Paul come out, and this was another highlight of the show for me. I thought Logan Paul was fantastic here. Logan Paul comes out. He says 6 days ago he was in England beating the living daylights out of a scumbag. Paul said he won his fight, and it was a pathetic excuse for a fight.
His opponent was who?
It was Dylan Dennis.
And what is he?
He's like a social media guy like him.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
I remember now.
He said it was a pathetic excuse for a fight. He should have known if he wanted real competition, he could have just had another WWE match, which gets a little bit of a cheers. Paul then brought up people. He said that he beat up some guy who hides behind a computer screen like a mask. And speaking of people who hide behind masks, Paul says he already beat Rey Mysterio in his first ever WWE wrestling match. He said the last time he wrestled Rey Mysterio, he said Roman Reigns still wrestled when he showed up here. He said the last time he wrestled Rey Mysterio, Dominic was still his son. The last time he wrestled Rey Mysterio, LA Knight didn't have a job. Paul said he knows who he is, and he's a WWE superstar, baby. Mysterio has something Paul needs. He said he has respect, but he doesn't need that. He has a legacy, but Paul is making his own legacy. He says, but he does have that U.S. championship. That U.S. championship. He says, even though he beat a deadbeat dad last weekend in England, he said he's going to have to beat another for that U.S. championship. This brings out Rey Mysterio. He's comes out and he says that Paul reminds him of his son Dominic. He says a lot of natural ability, dripping with passion, incredible career ahead of him, but you have a big mouth. He thinks Paul needs humbling. He was reluctant with Dominic, but with Paul, he's not going to hesitate to whoop his ass. He asks Paul if he wants his U.S. title, and Paul says, "See." I love this. See.
When you're around Spanish speaking people and you don't speak the language, if you say something like that, that gets heat. See, oh my God, they want to kill you.
It's the little voice that just like, that's an ultimate get heat type of response. Mysterio said he would give Paul the opportunity at Crown Jewel, and Paul extends his hand for a handshake. Ray is hesitant, but he eventually complies.
Done well.
And they shake hands. I thought they knocked this segment out the park. I thought this was one of the better parts of the whole entire show. What did you think?
Oh, the handshake deal was perfect because you kept thinking something is going to happen, and it gave you enough time to even think about something that maybe Mysterio could do
Yeah.
to turn it around on him. But he shook the hand, and they went out. So I thought if you were a non-fan and you were watching this, nothing that happened was non-believable. I mean, it was a good show that you could sit down with anybody and enjoy, even though people said, "Oh, wrestling's this, wrestling's that." This show kind of was a, a great show to show a non-fan, and then they could follow it, they could watch it. It was entertaining, not too long. That's what I like about it. It's not too long. They don't bore you to death with segment after segment of the same thing. They'll get in and they'll get out. So this here tonight with Logan Paul and Mysterio, very, very good segment. Very good.
Yes, like I said, one of the better parts of the show for me. Next up, you had tag team action. We had Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. They went in tag team action against Dragon Lee and Cameron Grimes. This was a 6-minute matchup with a commercial in the middle, so we only got about maybe 2 to 3 minutes of this matchup. Dragon Lee looked good in the times that we saw him, and I actually thought that Grimes and Lee actually made a pretty good duo, but this was more or less a glorified squash for Waller and Theory as Cameron Grimes gets a roll up, but Grayson Waller comes in with a rolling pay dirt into Austin Theory, hitting the A-Town down for the victory here. What did you think about this one? What do you think about the further getting the win back for A-Town down under after they lost last week to Cody and Jay?
Well, the timing was right. I mean, they didn't need to go. There was nobody in this match that's really over. So I think it benefited Waller and Mr. Theory at about the right time. Get in, get out, go. And that's what you'll remember. It went too long. I'd rather go too short than go too long.
Yeah.
See, you need to close the door when you want to close the door, not close the door when the fans close the door on you. So they took the right approach to this match.
Yeah, I think this was fine for what it was, and as long as Dragon Lee didn't take the loss here, I was totally fine with this. And when I looked at the people in the matchup, I was like, yeah, it makes sense for A-Town Down Under to get this victory here because Cameron Grimes can take this loss.
Okay, Dragon Lee, who is he?
He is from Mexico. He started off in
really?
CMLL. He started off in CMLL. He is the brother of Roosh, who works for AEW, and he is the son of Bestia La King in Mexico as well, he's worked for AAA and CMLL, and he is also the brother of Drilistico, I believe, as well. So yeah. He has a long family history. He's been in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He had a great rivalry with Hiromu Takahashi where they had death-defying matches in Mexico and Japan. I even saw one where he pretty much broke Hiromu's neck in San Francisco back in 2018. So I've been a fan of him for a very long time, but it's good to see him on the main roster here. I just want to see him in a more prominent role because I feel like he's the kind of guy that you can showcase because he has that wow factor for a new fan that will be oh, this guy's amazing in the ring.
He looks good and he knows what he's doing. So we're like every other fan out there. Let's sit back and let's see what they do with him. And we'll tell you whether we like it or not. See, because I pick up the phone every week and I call Triple H. Nobody knows this, so
I know.
Keep it quiet, everybody. Only Sid knows.
So
he called me and says, "How was the show?" And I said, "It's okay, but you need to do this and this and this."
You told him,
yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
So we had a couple of like smaller pre-tape segments or backstage segments here. So I just decided to put them all here in one bunch. So first you had Pretty Deadly. They were at a nail and spa, getting their feet and nails
Oh,
done.
I love that. I love
after
that.
they after they beat Brawling Brute squeaky clean. They talk about they feeling like Taylor Swift, and they say lucky Travie, lucky Tay Tay. They are just at the spa enjoying life. They say they're getting ready for massages, and then of course the Brawling Brutes come in to
Yeah.
give them the massage, and they give them the 10 beats of the Bowery. They stuck their heads into the where they had their feet in the bucket of water they had their feet in, and they're all laid out as the Brawling Brutes said they're gonna get a pint. What did you think about this segment? This was fun.
Oh, I loved it. I love when they showed the outside. You're thinking, wait a minute, is this the girls? Really? And then you go in there and it's those two jack faces. They're sitting there, oh mate, this, that, and the other. And then they're doing their toenails, and it was good. It's about a minute long. That's as long as it needs to be. Entertaining, and it didn't hurt anybody. Got the brutes back exposed, and it did its job. And that is an entertaining segment that I love segments like that. I used to do stupid shit like that in Puerto Rico, and they'd hit it and go. And I liked it. So, see, when I booked Puerto Rican TV, I just did stuff I liked. You know, somebody said, "Was that work?" I said, "Hell, I don't know, but I'd like it. Put it on there. What's he going to do? He gets them exposed without putting them in a match.
There you go.
Different ways."
Gotta be creative. I like it. And then we had another pre-taped video from Alba Fryer and Isla Dawn, who were talking about how Chelsea Green and Piper Niven haven't taken their warning seriously, and that they have cursed the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. And I like the fact that that SmackDown is taking time to remind people that these two women still exist.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
eventually, hopefully they're back and we have the story to go with this whole thing.
I missed this one. I don't know where it went. Maybe I passed out. I don't know. But what I do a lot of times, if it's going slow, I speed it up. So I may have went through this. But again, like you said, it is another way to remind people that these teams are still here in a short amount of time to fit the whole format. I mean, they're not cheating anybody else. They're getting them on there. They're getting their minute or 90 seconds or whatever it is. But it keeps it into people's minds that these teams are still here. So what are they doing with Chelsea Green?
Well, she's mainly used over on Monday Night Raw, but Monday Night Raw has been using the women a lot more. So she's been having like backstage segments. They've been seemingly building to her and Piper versus Natalya and Tegan Knox over on Raw.
Chelsea Green, big fan of hers because she can really. I would do when I was in TNA. I'd do interviews with her. Hell, I enjoyed the interviews more than the fans did. They were funny. She's very, very talented, versatile. She can do a lot of things. Good talker. So I wish her a lot of luck. And I think we're going to see a lot more out of her. WWE will see that in her. And I think she's going to be a big star. I'm her biggest fan. Except they got rid of the girl we liked, Lucy. Was that her name?
Well, Lacey has a podcast now. If you want to hear
Lacey.
her feelings on what
What did
felt
she
about
say?
her WWE run. Well, she touched on she almost got into a lot of fights because of her mouth, and she talked about being tired of trying to stand in front of a door and get her ideas through and being ignored.
I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Yeah. What you mean standing in front of a door, waiting for a meeting?
Basically.
Well, I don't blame her because remember, the worst idea is the idea that's not pitched. All that what's the worst they can say? No, that's the worst they can say. That's what I used to tell guys who would have an idea. I said, go give it to them. Really? You think I should? I said, what's the worst thing they can say? And they look at me like, I don't know. The worst they can say is no. So, well, they made a movie one time about the guy who made horrible movies. And every time he'd go get finance for another movie, they said, "Your last movie was horrible." He said, "Yes, but the next one will be better." Let me think about that, and I'll tell you who he is. You know who I'm talking about. But if you got an idea, pitch it. It could be horrible, but keep pitching them. I'd rather be known for a horrible pitch than no pitch. See what I mean? At least you're throwing, and they're either swinging, hitting home runs, or they're striking out. So most of the time they're hitting home runs on off of you, but keep throwing them. Keep throwing them. But I predict her name is Lacey Evans.
Yeah.
Not Lucy.
Or Macy Estrella is her real name.
Oh, I hate that name. I like Lacey Evans. Sergeant, I would just keep. I love the military deal she was doing in this. When they had her doing the interviews, talking to the people, directly to the people, she was getting a response then.
Yeah.
And I think it had to be. Now you kind of substantiated what I thought before. She kept getting arguments with people. That was probably it. Because she was maybe hard to deal with backstage. You can argue with the other talent. You can't argue with creative too much, because then they'll start dealing. They'll stop dealing with you. But anyway, I think she had some good ideas, and the other talent didn't like it, and that led to some arguments. But good for her.
Well, at this point, they threw to a video package of the tag team title match from Raw, where Jimmy Uso interfered to cost Jay and Cody against the Judgment Day. We also went back to earlier in the night when Jay Uso got his revenge by jumping Jimmy Uso. And then we go backstage to Nick Aldis in his office. He has Jay Uso, and he's with security, and Adam Pearce arrives. He fines Jay Uso $10,000, but Adam Pearce says, well, Jimmy Uso showed up on our show on Raw, so why don't you find him as well? Nick Aldis tells security to escort Jay Uso from the building, and Adam Pearce says something, so Aldis says, can you escort Pearce from the building as well? And Pearce says, oh, really? And Aldis says, yes, and Pearce says, let the games begin. So this seems to tease that we are heading to a War Games or Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series.
Yeah, we called it right. I think those two, to slow it down a little bit, both of them they're both good talkers, especially Nick. Yeah. Nick's going to be the heel, and they're looking at each other like, listen, I'm the boss over here. You stay over there. And that was plainly demonstrated tonight. I'm really looking forward to see what they do between these two guys. I really do. Are the two brands. See, that takes in everybody, really. So I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do. Because I'm not a big fan of the overseer of Raw and overseeing of SmackDown. And it was too much for one guy anyway. Yeah. They had the right idea. Put another guy in the spot. Now you got another angle to throw at him. So let's see where it goes.
We shall see. Next up, right before the main event, we get a Kevin Owens interview. He sits down with Kathy Kelly. Kelly asks Owens what it felt like to be separated from his best friend, Sami Zayn. Owens says he doesn't feel great. He notes that how they did get a lot together. They did accomplish a lot together, and to be separated in the way they were separated, it hurt. Owens said he's happy to be on SmackDown because it's a clean slate, and it's also bittersweet. He mentions that he has a lot of history with the Bloodline, and he expects to cross paths with them again. But he wants a first-time singles match with Rey Mysterio. He's never faced Sheamus before. He says there are a lot of new faces to punch, like the Brawling Brutes, the LWO. He asks Kelly if there's anybody she wanted him to punch, and she couldn't answer that. But he says, I know plenty of people want to punch Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. She says, yeah, they have a punchable face. He says, well, they're added to the list. He says all that he wants people to know is that this is the Kevin Owens show, and that's how everything ended. And I was just sitting here the whole time, and I was like, well, You don't have any idea what you're doing with Kevin Owens yet.
This is what I think. I think some guy's going to start picking on, what's her name, Kathy Owens?
Kathy Kelly.
Kathy Kelly. And he'll come and take up for her.
Yeah.
And that's a start. Because they may not have a spot for him. They're figuring a spot right now. So I think Kathy has a problem with one of the guys, maybe one of the two, the guys from Down Under and
Waller,
what are their names?
Theory.
And Waller. Yeah. I think they'll try to gang up on her or do something, and he sails in and takes up for her. And that's a good starting point because I think they opened the gates on this one, and it's going to, and we'll see in the next week or two if they do that. Yeah, but that'd be a good place for him to start. He's not starting cold. Now he has something behind him, and we'll see. Because I think he and with the partner between against those two guys, that'd be a hell of a matchup. They can do a lot with it. That Waller and Grayson,
their partner is Sami Zayn, and now he's separated from him.
Yep. Well, who knows? But I think they have opened so many doors here. I think they got more doors open than they got doors closed, and that's a good spot to be in. So
yeah, I just wanted a hint at what we were getting from Owens on SmackDown, and it seems like he threw out a whole bunch of names, and it was just like nothing really sticked. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Said patience, a little patience.
Hey, I have patience, but I can nitpick if something wasted my time.
Oh, well, you
felt like it felt like it wasted my time. I was like, did this really need to be on the show?
Okay, since you said that, screw this crap. They didn't do shit. This bastard sit there all week, can't come up with nothing. Damn. But I enjoyed that. But it took me somewhere.
It just didn't take me anywhere. I felt like I was waiting for the bus to move. But something that did take me somewhere and make me feel something was the main event. You had Io Sky defending the WWE Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. This was a very good matchup and got plenty of time.
Great.
Just over 16 minutes. Went through what two commercial
breaks. Rick would have been in heaven.
Yes.
With this 16-minute match. Yes.
Loves seeing the women get this much time, and they had pretty good chemistry as well. After a distraction from Damage Control, Sky took over. Yeah.
How long has Io Sky been working?
Io Sky's been working since she was a teenager, basically, in Japan.
How many years she been in?
Give me
10, 12?
It's been over 10. I believe it's been 12 years.
Very talented.
12. Yeah.
Very talented. And those two, Charlotte and her tonight, they had a great match.
Yeah.
That would have been a great house show match, a great TV match. That'd have been a great pay-per-view match because they didn't miss anything. So both of them are very talented. I'm a big fan of, I didn't even know Io Sky from Slow Joe. I don't know now, but I know her. And she's got a lot
since 2007, 16 years.
Okay. That was about when I said 12.
Since she was 17.
But wrestling that long in Japan is different than wrestling that long in the States. Because I think you learn the business more in Japan.
Yeah.
Than you will working in the States, because all the States can do is the girls can work independents, and they actually develop more bad habits working independents than they develop good habits. Io worked with the pros. Don't do this, don't do that, slow down. They walk her through it. But working with the independents, and you can't really learn anything if you're working with people with no more knowledge than you have. So they have more knowledge, but Io Sky and Charlotte, they had a masterpiece tonight.
Really good matchup to close the show here, and I thought they worked really well with one another and took different type of big bumps and big risks, like Charlotte taking like a tough sit out power bomb from Io Sky from the second rope for a near fall. They were trading Charlotte with a bunch of chops. Final one puts down Io Sky. She lands a fall away slam, hits a big Samoan drop from the second rope, an avalanche Samoan drop at one point for a near fall. The finish I really enjoyed because it was basically the numbers of damage control got the better of Charlotte. She hits a big spear, but Bailey smoothly gets the foot on the bottom rope for the referee to see. Then Charlotte beats up Bailey around ringside, takes her out. Meanwhile, Dakota Kai is passing Io Sky, the WWE Women's Championship. She gets on the apron to distract the referee. Charlotte gets back into the ring.
She handed her the belt very.
Yeah, you didn't even see it. It was off camera. It was off camera. But I saw the entire matchup. She had the title. So I saw everything how it played out. When she went to the apron, I was like, where's the title? And I was like, when Io turned around, I was like, oh, there's the title. So she turns around. Charlotte goes for a spear and just hits right into the championship.
She has it right here. Yeah.
Yep. So she doesn't even see it. Yeah.
Yeah, she baited her into it.
Charlotte doesn't even see it. It was perfect. And then she just covers her 1, 2, 3. Io Sky retains the WWE Women's Championship. And then the cherry on top was the post match where you have Damage Control jumping Charlotte Flair until Bianca Belair makes her return to get rid of Damage Control, beats up the Io Sky, beats up Bailey. Bailey saves Io from the KOD. So instead, she takes the KOD to end the show as Bianca helps Charlotte stand up and they stand tall. Good stuff. I thought that this was a nice setup for what's the next chapter of this, as we're going to have the Queen and the EST working together against Damage Control. And it still seems like we're still building to the bigger matchup because they keep having these two women interact with one another. It still feels like we're heading to WrestleMania with Charlotte and Bianca. I feel like one of them is going to take the title from Io before we get to WrestleMania.
Okay, who does Charlotte have in the Saudi Arabia?
No one's booked for Saudi Arabia. I think Bianca Belair is booked now. She's been advertised. She's on the poster. So maybe they add Bianca Belair versus Io Sky for the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, but I think Charlotte's not on it for sure.
Now, what do the women do when they go to Saudi Arabia?
Well, now they can work it. No, they just have to cover up. They have to wear different attire. They can't show any skin.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't mind that either. Their talent is still there. They just make them cover their tops and bottoms up a little more, which is their right. If that's what they want. But I'm just glad that women are on the card over there. So
yeah, we went from them never being on the card to actually they were going to have a 5-way on this card on Crown Jewel.
Who is that announcer that sits in the middle of that?
That's Kevin Patrick.
Where's he from?
He's from Ireland, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he had a little bit of an accent, but I'm not a big fan of three-ways of the three-way man.
Well,
I'm just
3-person announced teams. Yeah, they're not.
Well, they don't have a color guy.
Yeah, it was weird. I felt I don't know about you, but it felt like they went a different direction with commentary tonight, especially for the main event. That was the only thing that felt off for me during the main event because it felt like everybody was against Damage Control. Like Corey, who's usually the heel announcer, he was definitely favoring Charlotte throughout that matchup, and that just made it weird for me. I was like, well, you're the heel announcer. Why are you going for Charlotte, and why are you like going against Damage Control and defending Charlotte at every turn, even when Kevin Patrick is just saying facts about the matter? It was weird.
Maybe that was it. Why don't we go up there and just call him in the back and slap the shit out of him? So next time you do that, remember what your job is. So, and we'll be listening, by God. So yeah, that 3-man booth, I don't think it hurts the effort, but it doesn't help it. Is what I'm thinking. I don't think they really add that much to it. But so why did they put? What is the job of the Irish guy?
He's
He's
supposed to be.
almost the head announcer, right?
Yeah, he's the play-by-play guy.
He is.
Yep. If you I listened keenly to the main event because it was just catching me off guard. It was like in the early minutes that the whole exchange happened where Corey was defending Charlotte. I was just like, I just listened to the rest of the matchup, and yeah, Kevin Patrick did the play-by-play for that entire matchup. Michael would add like pro babyface stuff, and then Corey would add like certain moves or just adding different things like he usually adds from his different character. But it was weird because he wasn't favoring damage control. It was like, you're the heel announcer, but you're not doing the job of the heel announcer.
I don't get it. I'm gonna ask you a question real quick. WWE turned down CM Punk. Will we see him there eventually or no?
Well, they did extend the Survivor Series seats. They had it sold out at like 12,000 plus, and they extended the seats to 15,000 because of the demand. So is the demand because CM Punk's coming in? I don't know. We'll see. It's
what
a
is the
wait and
date?
see.
What is the date on that?
That is in November, at the end of November.
And that's in
November
Chicago?
25th. Yeah, in Chicago.
Okay.
We shall see.
I still think this is a misdirection. I think we're going to see him.
We will see, and we will talk about it when it happens.
He's floating out there, and I think they're going to feel it. So, anything else we need to know?
No, that is the show. That was the entire show.
This show has been so much better without that damn Rick. And Rick, he's not sick. You know what Rick's doing? He's like this.
What's your grade for tonight's SmackDown, Dutch Mantell?
The grade?
Yeah, your grade. Or
a number?
Out of 10, what did you give the show?
Oh, I'll give it an 8, 8.2, 8.3.
I go 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10.
That's good. Well, we're about there. It was good.
Passing show.
I mean, there was no garbage on this show. Anything could pass. So, and I think a lot of thought was put into it. I appreciate it. I think the fans appreciated it. So, good show. And I'll tell you if it's a shitty show. If we've seen a lot of them. So,
hey, we were there like 2-3 weeks ago, Dutch. But Dutch, let the people know where they can follow you on social media.
Okay, you can follow me on social media at Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com. And you can find me by the Real Dirty Dutch on what's the deal on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me there. And I'm going to have to rework all this crap. I just need one name. I just need, like, Twitter went to X. Well, you can remember X. I got to go to something else that's simple to remember. I might just go a star. How's that? 1 star, and that's it. So, and if you want to purchase these fine books, I think everybody needs to be on everybody's list, Wrestling 101 list, to read these books. Write me at Dirty Dutch Mantell, 2 L's at gmail.com, and get right back to you. Where can we see you, Mr. Sid?
Follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3, and tomorrow at 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, the True Hill Heat flagship podcast. It will be myself, Miss Chrissy Love. We will be joined by Zach Haydorn of PW Torch to talk all about this week in WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, preview of Bound for Glory, and more. Dutch, one final question before we sign off with the people. Your thoughts on Sting announcing that he will have his retirement match next year, March, at Revolution, the end of a legendary career of Sting. And we got 3 extra years that nobody saw coming, where he retransformed himself into a daredevil. But final comments, your thoughts on Sting calling it a career at 65 years old next year.
I'm going to call you his last match. his last opponent.
Who's it? Who do you think his last opponent would be?
Well,
I've had the perfect option, but I'm willing to hear other options. We're a
I'll give
booking
you
committee
mine.
here. They should call us the
Yeah.
booking committee. Another show idea, Sportskeeda. Me and Dutch, the booking committee.
I'll give you an idea that I thought of the other day. Who recently retired and had his last match?
Who recently retired and had his last match? Who?
Yeah.
Ric Flair?
He almost died in the ring, I thought, in Nashville. And all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, he pops up and he says, well, I think I'm going to have another match. Just one more. Just one more match. One more. And I got, even my dog responded to that.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, Sting comes out. He's retiring and he's going to have one more match. But now all they're looking for is somebody to finance this pay-per-view. So who they got? They got Tony Khan sitting there. And I think we might see Flair and Sting the last go around or the last dance or the last drink of the night or whatever. And who knows what it might be. So would you watch it? No, I wouldn't watch it either. But a lot of people, I didn't think a lot of people would watch the last one with Flair.
And they did.
I don't know.
Ask
the Eagles.
A car wreck is very entertaining.
Yeah. Ask the Eagles sometimes about the last tour. They went 20 years on that. So Flair, he might be doing a last match in 2031 if he's still alive. And that would be a good one if he's already passed away. Then he has the last match. I would even pay to see that. But anyway, that's what I think. What do you think?
Sting's been very adamant that he wants to continue doing tag matches because that protects him in his 60s. He doesn't have to do too much. So he probably wants to do his last match still with Darby Allin. So I think the perfect matchup for them, Sting and Darby Allin versus Adam Copeland and Christian Cage reuniting for the very first time.
Well, you're booking out of common sense. I'm booking out of ridiculousness. So, anyway,
this is why we're the perfect booking committee.
That would be a good choice. But I like the. I don't know. I think Flair and Sting together, it would be a train wreck that you can't miss.
I do suspect Ric Flair to be front row. They're going to do like the whole big ceremony thing of, we'll have Flair front row, we'll have Luger front row, we'll have Scott Steiner, not Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner could stay his ass home. We'll have Buff Bagwell there. Everyone that's known for Sting, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, all those guys will be in the front row for that matchup.
Who's going in the WWE Hall of Fame this year or next year?
Bray Wyatt, 100%.
Mm-hmm. Who
else?
Any more?
Bray Wyatt, I think, is going to be maybe the headliner, but I can see maybe. I want to say The Rock, but I think if The Rock does that, he's going to have one more match at WrestleMania, and it's not this year. So
I think, The Rock, he could be eligible for it at any time. But I think he's going to, like you said, he wants to be, if he's going to be inducted along with another campaign. So you run it all together. I'm agreeing with you there. Okay.
All right, guys.
I want people to write me a Dirty Dutch Mantell and tell me who they want to see in the WWE Hall of Fame.
There we go. You got something for next week. Let us know in the comments who you think should join the WWE Hall of Fame. For Dutch Mantell, Rick Ucchino, we hope you're feeling better. He wasn't with us this week. He'll be back next week. But it is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. Like, comment, share, subscribe for Sportskeeda by WrestleBinge, and we'll see you next Friday right here on Smak Talk.